question is does anybody in here approve of bullying? I didn't think anybody in this classroom would approve of bullying. Now the second question is that, do you think bullying is considered a disease? Now if you don't really know what I'm saying with that, then you don't have to raise your hand, whereas I'm going to explain myself later in the presentation. As two individuals, Mike and Lori Sosa said in Doji, they considered bullying as a disease, and they also consider it as racism. Heck, I could even say that racism is actually part of bullying, whereas because I was actually discriminated against living in a country where my skin color didn't actually match the majority of the people I live with. Bullying is like racism because everybody is affected by it, and it's part of our culture. And whereas it's part of our culture, it's something that I don't think should be accepted. We as a culture must decide that bullying is unacceptable, just like how racial discrimination wasn't accepted in society. And that took years and years of everybody coming together as a society and saying, this is not accepted and we should end this. My credibility to all this is that I have one thing on my bucket list, and that one thing is that I want to help change the lives of 1,000 individuals. By changing the lives of 1,000 individuals, I'm one to say that I'm standing up for other people and what's right. And if helping 1,000 individuals stand up to their bullies, and if that's what it takes to help change their lives, that's what I'm going to do. Each and every individual in this classroom has what it takes to help stop bullying. Racism didn't just disappear overnight. It took a collective effort by everybody coming together and saying that it's not acceptable. And we can do the same with bullying. And here I am tonight to help you show what techniques and ways we can do to come together and halting the bullying. Now, what is bullying exactly? Everybody has a different definition as to what it is, as we define it differently. The most generic term, as Lori Coleman said, is that bullying is when an individual or a group of people come together and harass a person or a group of people that they find is different. They use one of these three methods, or they can use a combination of the three. One is through physically, by pushing or punching a person. Socially, by name-calling and teasing. And also through slander, where they ostracize the person or they spread hurtful rumors to the individuals. Now, bullying is a disease according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Now, I find one thing that's really ironic with bullying, and it is that, hopefully y'all agree with me on this, is everybody in this room, we always try to find a way to be unique. And to do that, we try to find an aspect of ourselves to make us stand out. And in that case, we're trying to be different. Now, everything I just said is what bullying is targeting. They're targeting people who are different, people who put up themselves out there to stand out, and people who just don't click in with the normal society. Each person can make the difference through helping the LGBTs, which stands for lesbian, gays, bisexual, and transgenders. Whatever your sexual orientation is, as long as you're not affecting other people directly, you're a human being as well. Every person in this room is a human being, regardless of where your standpoints are. And we as a group of people should condemn bullying to these people by showing that bis, lesbians, transgenders are all human beings, and showing that they're loved and they're accepted. Now, according to an infographic made by the Bully Project, 13 million kids in the United States are bullied each year. And this statistic could actually be a lot larger because bullying is something that goes largely unreported. I mean, many males wouldn't come out to their guidance counselors and report, hey, that I'm being bullied, because we have this ego in ourselves to say that nothing can really faze us, but it does occur. And the sad truth to this all is that there are kids who actually don't survive this bullying disease, as I say, because there are kids who are literally bullied to death by their other peers. And Another relation to bullying being a disease is that bullying affects everybody. Like David Beckham, we all know who he is. He's a renowned soccer player. And David Beckham was actually bullied when he was little. According to an interview he did in his, with Now magazine in the UK, back when he was 16, instead of going out with his friends to the store corner and buying cider and staying out for the night, he actually chose to stay in, watch the match of the night, and actually prepare for his Sunday soccer match. Now you would think, why a boy 16 studying for a soccer match and preparing for that, he'd get bullied? Because they all saw him as a sissy who didn't go and hang out with his friends, and that he was actually inside by himself, just being an introvert. But look where it took him now. He rose above that, and he stood against the people who put him down. And for that, he's trying to pay back through the community that helped bring him up with his parents and their love. Now, there's a girl who was willing to show me the raw effects on what bullying has during and post. She's actually a normal college student she's a junior and she's a psychology major and resides in New York. This is some of the stuff that she told me, and I highlighted some of the stuff. She actually lived with the two girls that were involved in bullying for a whole year and a half. She became so distressed from the bullying, she actually had heart palpitations, and she actually went to the doctor just to see why she was getting heart palpitations. These girls, they used slander and they used social bullying against this girl, such as they excluded her from situations right in front of her space, harassed her weekly. They even talked about her behind her back to her close friends, who she knew that her close friends would report what they had said to her later on in the night. They would do prank phone calling. They would go through her personal items such as her laptop, use her kitchenware, not wash them, and be outside her bedroom talking about her, screaming, playing music. You would think these are innocent things, but these girls collectively brought all these little habits that we as college students do nightly and put it together to really harass their roommate. One day, this girl, she finally lost it. She basically had a hissing fit, screaming for 20 minutes and telling the two girls to move the fuck out. When those girls, she hasn't seen them for the next 3 semesters, and she's still worries that coming back for this next semester, she'd still see these girls again. Just even the thought of seeing those girls that harassed her make her tremor, and they make her have anxiety. She gets so sick to the stomach, and she starts shaking. It's just, I just thought that was a really raw thing, because this girl, I couldn't show her a picture due to privacy, but she's a very beautiful girl, and I wouldn't have even expected this to occur to somebody like this. Now, there's another girl who asked to remain anonymous as well, is that she said that the only way she was able to recover from this bullying incident is because two of her friends said, her friends stood up to the bullies that were harassing her. They just said, hey, you need to stop harassing my friend and you need to get out of the face because you're not doing the world good, you're not making the world go around, and you're not making yourself more beautiful by harassing somebody else who you may think is uglier. There are treatments to cancer such as doctors and chemotherapy. Now, what treatments are there for bullying? It's a universal problem. It happens everywhere. You can't avoid it. What can we do to combat this? Now, one of the things I propose is that we raise awareness for bullying, because if we don't know what bullying is, then how can we help stop it? This is a trailer made by the Bully Project, and which I think should be shown universally.
Enough was enough.
Tonight, a tragic situation. A Perkins boy, just 11 years old, believed to have been desperate enough to take his own life.
This is an awfully complicated and difficult issue.
Kids will be kids, boys will be boys. They're just cruel at this age.
Here what we get is nothing's wrong, we didn't do anything, everything's fine.
They will punch me, strangle me, take things from me, sit on me.
He's not safe on that bus. I've been on that bus. They are just as good as gold.
My boys.
That's part of the administrative saying that the boy on that bus is perfectly fine. This movie helps show that there are bullies that are able to hide their practices from administrators. And this movie, I wish could be shown in every single school shows that bullies, what the toll they have on these kids, the effects from these kids and what happens to them. And also this movie helps document the practical solutions that the director had for combating bullying. This movie actually got a rated R rating due to language. And this vote was made by just one vote over for giving it an R rating. I find that ludicrous because there are movies more outlandish that have sexual content and language and given a PG-13 rating. But luckily I just found out just last week, with the help and support of Ellen DeGeneres, Drew Brees, 10 congressmen, and over 500,000 signatures on the petition, this movie is finally given a PG-13 rating. This movie had just been released about 2 weeks ago, and it's not actually in movie theaters nationwide. And what I wish for you to advocate is to go on the bullyproject.com and write to your local movie theater, write to your congressmen or senators, and propose that this movie should be at least shown in movie theaters nationwide, as I really do think it would serve as an educational purpose. Another way of directly combating bullying is to stand up for a friend or even a stranger that may not have the audacity to stand up for themselves. Seeing this. And for a good example is from Zac Efron in 17 again.
See, according to leading psychiatrists, Stan's a bully for one of 3 reasons. 1. Underneath all of that male bravado, there's an insecure little girl just banging on the closet door trying to get out. 2. Like a caveman, Stan's brain is underdeveloped. Therefore, Stan is unable to use self-control. And so he acts out aggressively. And the 3rd reason, Stan has a small wiener.
Now this may be a little bit extreme, but it's one way to help stand up for a bully ultimately, is to face them and confront them directly. And I think Zac Efron did a good job of portraying that. My final thoughts. Yeah, my final thoughts is treat others that you want to be treated and stand up to bullying, because it only takes one person to really make a difference.
Questions, quickly? Thank you. Thank you all.